right. Boom.
Welcome to the NAO show. This is the quiet version, the quiet commissioner's version. As you can see, Sean is not with us. He is in Phoenix on a work trip. Tank Top Mike is out cutting sleeves out of normal t-shirts right now. So we've got Brandon. Thanks for joining us tonight, Brandon.
It's good to be here. It's good to be here, fellow commish.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's going to be fun. Appreciate you stepping up and stepping in. We're going to get right to it. We're going to do our normal weekly review. So we're going to get to the scores from last week. We've got the DBs 155, the Pooh Crew 132. So it looks like the Commissioner Curse decided to give you a break there, Brandon, and still giving me a double measure of doo-doo, but take a little victory lap on this one, man.
I mean, I don't know why I'm surprised. I mean, I was checking the notes, and Ian was the Pooh Crew had the most efficient team, but you know what? It didn't even matter. Like, he could have scored his maximum amount of points, and we still would have spanked him. It felt good, you know.
I saw that.
It was never in doubt. So I mean, we talked smack all weekend. Evan was even talking smack in the chat, which is unlike us. You know, we usually like to stay humble and not do anything. But I mean, in terms of specifics, Lamar obviously carried the team. Tyreek steps in right there, fills in that flex spot, shorted up. And I mean, fortunately, our defense didn't matter. We put, kind of clutch, got that Pittsburgh D as part of the deal. But it felt good, man. Feels really good.
I know it did. Yeah, Lamar and Tyreek, man, they accounted for 51% of your output. When you got two players doing that, man, that's a good day. Now look over on Ian's side, and he had JT, Saquon, Dalvin, and Jeff Wilson combined for 34 points, which is kind of crazy to think about when a lot of those guys can put up 20 at a time without much trouble. So that was a killer for him, man.
Yeah, I felt like he was probably getting a little too cute trying to start Jeff Wilson there, but like, it didn't matter, and he actually put up as much or more than the other guys. So
yeah, it turned out to be the top one out of those four.
Yeah.
Again, not what you would expect. So
what's going on with Jonathan Taylor?
I mean, his day there.
Last week, Jonathan Taylor got 38 touches, and now this week he gets 9 carries and a target.
Yeah, it's weird to think maybe Pittman being out hurt JT. I don't know. It's kind of opposite day there, but yeah, they just couldn't get anything going, man. And I don't know. It's just a bad day for that team. And
Frank Reich, man, he's a heck of a coach. Really good coach.
Yeah, I don't know. You got to love it as a Tennessee fan. So
I don't mind it.
Keep it up, Frank. Right. All right, we'll go on. I'm sorry. Did you have something else?
I just want to give a shout out to Quinius St. Brown, or however you say his name. I mean, he tried to put the team on his back, but they just didn't want to perform, man. I don't know. I sense like there might be some friction on the Pooh Crew, like they might be unraveling. I don't want to predict, for the upcoming week, but it might be the start of his losing streak.
It could be. We'll talk about that later too. That comes up later in the show. So yeah. All right. Well, going to our next score here. We've got Goofy effing Jace 154, the Prince 117. Goofy was only 0.8 points behind you guys for the high score. And tough day for Sean. He had 2 starters leaving early with injury. What are your observations on this one?
Well, I at the beginning of the season for Goofy, like, Jalen Hurts is kind of I've heard him talked about, especially in redraft, as a league winner guy, just a guy you could steal in the later rounds and could win the league. And man, he's been so consistent. Philly looked good as a whole. So I know that made Goofy double happy. But at the beginning of the season, I would have said, like, all right, I'll take Aaron Jones or AJ Dillon, but collectively, I'd probably rather have AJ Dillon, if I'm honest, because I feel like you just, when all things are equal, you kind of lean towards the younger guy, so that you don't have to pay the older guy for the contract. But it was Aaron Jones' week, man. I mean, he carried that backfield, put up a 30 piece for Goofy Jace. Yep, and you hate to lose whenever your team's going out, but fortunately for Sean, it probably didn't matter.
Yeah, yeah, it was a tough day for Sean there,
Who was
but
this? Who was this? Oh, Jerry Judy was the guy. And Schultz, what was Schultz deal?
he had a knee injury.
Okay.
I'm still haven't heard everything on this knee. It looked like it was going to be serious. They're saying maybe only a couple of weeks now, but still he was out. He was out of the game pretty early on. And of course, Schultz with only CD there as the top guy, you kind of hoping that Schultz is going to be their number two there.
I mean, he's not gotten the targets that I think we all expected him to get. I mean,
Yeah, I think
it's
with
like,
the offensive line injuries, their tight ends are blocking a lot.
yeah,
They're having to scheme up some blocking to try to get him anything. So and then, of course, for Sean with Burrow and Mixon, they only got 26.36 points between the two of them. So it was a tough day against my boys. It's kind of funny because Sean was over watching the game with me. Anytime they did something, he's like, "Yeah," and then you look over, "Oh, hey, sorry, man," and I was like, "Hey, it's cool," you know.
yeah. But the boys
So
got the win, man. There you go.
yeah,
So,
yeah, that made it tough for him. So losing a couple of guys and then that going on.
I'll say
Yeah,
one point on kind of a data boy for Sean. You know, at some point you got to bench your guys that aren't performing, and Akers needs to sit on the bench if he's not going to perform. I have a feeling that at some point it'll flip, and if he
yeah.
continues to bench him, he'll get taxed, and he'll have a 30 piece sitting on his bench. But like for the time, I mean, it was the right move, man. I mean, like even though
Yeah, yeah.
like you got some guys who maybe don't have the star power of, that he does, you bench him, but you made the right decision at the end of the
Right,
day.
right. Yeah, the volume was up for Akers, and you can see maybe better things coming. But yeah, it's kind of a wait and see on him. Just on Goofy side, Mike Williams had a bounce back week. Everybody was disappointed with him with Allen going out early and Williams just doing nothing, but he had a good bounce back week. So yeah, that helped Goofy to a nice day there. Just missed the top score behind you guys. So
Just needed one more Kirk Cousins pick, man. He was handing them out like candy, bro. Man,
True, true,
is
true.
that Kirk Cousins being that bad, or was that Philly? Are they that good? I don't know,
Uh,
man.
I don't know, man. I hope Philly's not that good, but we'll see. All
What's
right, we're
next?
gonna we're gonna move on to the A Bombers 136, the Hoosier Daddies 98. So
Woof.
uh
You
I'd
want to
like
cover this one there?
yeah,
What you think about this one,
no,
bro?
I'd like to say I was held under 100 because of injuries like Sean was, but it was
Man,
just my roster just kind of underachieved across the board. And A-Bomb was down a bit from last week, but he got enough big performances to get her done. What do you think about this one?
yeah. I mean, you were relatively efficient this week.
Yeah.
Um, not 98 out of 124. My bad. I was actually that
Yeah.
when I was looking at the efficiency scores here, that was I got distracted by McJammer's swirly proxies. So it was
Yeah.
right there next to you. Um, but
I've done that too.
so had you set the perfect lineup, um, you still would have lost. So
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
least you got some of your younger guys reps,
Yeah.
or you got you guys reps, or I mean, maybe you should have plugged your younger guys in to get those reps. You got Taysom Hill some reps in the tight end spot.
Yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
that's a gonna be a point of emphasis for your team. I would think, like moving forward, you got to address that position because Brittle Kittle ain't getting it done, man.
Yeah.
I
Kittle's
mean,
killing me,
like,
man.
man, that's like it's weak. And Herb looks like he might be a dude, so
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
can move him to that starter position. He should have a pretty safe floor. But goodness gracious, you need an injury to Waller, which Goofy wouldn't like that very much, but we wouldn't want to wish that on him. But I mean, it's tough, man. When you
Yeah.
got to start
Yeah.
Taysom and it's the wrong week.
Right.
Um,
Right.
as for A Bomb's team, I mean, Allen's super consistent, putting up 30 in 3 quarters. Titans are garbage, so it's there. Um, Chubb performed, so he picked the right running back in terms of the trade as he moved it, and he kind of Najee did what we thought Najee would do, or I'm sorry, New England did what we thought New England would do in terms of holding Najee in check.
Yeah. Yeah.
But his guys did enough; they didn't have to do very much. And in fact, I
Yeah.
almost feel like he was trolling you, starting Kyle Phillips in his flex. I think that was a bit of a flex move. Although as I scroll down, I don't know that. I mean, Gabe Davis was a late scratch, so I guess that was
Yeah, I
where he
think
put
that's
him
what
in for.
it was
Yeah.
more about that. I think,
Yeah.
the sad thing here is not only could I have not have won it even with my best
With
lineup,
perfect lineup.
and with the score as it stood, he could have beaten me with just Allen, Chubb, Andrews, and the Bills defense, because they scored 101.68 between the four. So he didn't even need over half his roster to get it done. So just one of those days that you don't like fantasy. Was not enjoying that day much at all. So uh not much more to say about that, man. Not much more to say. Just
Yeah.
it is what it is. We'll move on to the ass waxing of the week.
Oh,
That would be FNG 118, the Swirly King, as Sean is calling him. And I kind of like that. The Swirly King 92. So I definitely was a candidate for the ass waxing of the week. But when you can't score 100 and you lose to the guy in rebuild who is starting all second tier players, you just got to shine on that behind. Talk this one up.
man. I like the average age starter of that team that put up 91 of your proxy, your swirly proxy has got to be approaching 30. My goodness.
Yeah.
What a man. What a collection of guys. I mean, this was a pillow fight. It was going to be a low scoring affair, which at first one to 100 was probably going to win. And as it stands, they did. I mean, good on F&G for getting to all the way up to almost 120. Amari Cooper showed up, and it looks like he might have a guy in Curtis Samuel. I know as a McLaurin owner, you don't particularly love that all that Samuel volume, but never fear, because the inevitable Curtis Samuel hamstring or whatever injury happens will be there. So
right.
Maybe the volume would go back to McLaurin, and then he's got the alien James Robinson, who just is a physical freak.
Yeah, crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, so I mean, like, honestly, like F&G's got some decent pieces, that are there and are kind of ready to pop in some cases. Some nice pieces. And I'll say this about Dylan's roster. I mean, they're old. He knows that. That's no secret to him. But that's all I can say about his roster. So I was looking for something to say. Nice. Actually, we actually were going to sign Marlon Mack today, but he's already got him on his roster.
Yeah, of course.
Evan messaged me. He's like, "Hey man, I think we should sign Marlon Mack, man. He's been signed to the active roster, bro.
Active roster now. Yeah,
he's been promoted up. We need to get Marlon Mack." And before I could even look at it or consider it, he'd already done the research and
there it was. Yeah, it's funny. Samuel's finally doing what Puku said he could do in our first year when he was trying to trade him to everybody. It's took a little while, but he's finally coming through and doing things that Ian said he could do.
Yeah, so. I mean, Evan was texting me cuss words on Sunday as Dylan was. I'm sorry. Yeah, as Curtis Samuel was scoring and putting up all these points, and so the only consolation, I was like, man, he wouldn't have started for us. Those points would have been on the bench, and we would have been mad that they were on the bench. And so it's fine, dude. But he was in that Lamar trade, so Lamar had a pretty decent week. So
it took the sting out of it, right? So
and it did. Yeah. But I'm excited that piece is going to pop for F&G.
Yeah, we told F&G to put London in there. He had 20 on his bench, so maybe he'll finally listen to us. Well, we're just trying to give out these nuggets. We're trying to help.
Oh yeah,
guys,
I totally missed that.
We told him get London in there. We told him that after week 1. So
Drake London scored 20 points. What?
Yeah,
I totally missed it, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you guys said that last week to put him in there,
but
bro, man, you gotta. I feel like he could probably replace someone on. Probably Juju. Juju can
probably
take a seat.
So. Yeah, Dylan did have the injury to Connor. But you look at his top 6 guys in his roster, QB through tight end, they were just bad. His flex was decent. So, Dylan being a loyal listener is listening, and he's shoring up that flex, but that was the best part of his day. And none of those were great, but it was decent, so.
That was true. I mean, I love Josh Palmer. I think he's got good long-term
Yeah,
value. And
yeah.
if Keenan Allen continues to miss time and Josh Palmer continues to get the volume, he's
Yeah.
gonna score. I mean, he was
Yeah.
as a UT guy, I followed him. We've
Palmer.
tried to get him multiple times.
Palmer had a lot of targets too. It just didn't. He could have had a much bigger day. So maybe there's better days ahead while Keenan is healing up there. So
8 targets, and he does have what seems to be the correct New England running back for right now.
yeah,
I mean, Damian Harris's backfield,
yeah.
and he looks great so far.
Yeah, he's even getting work in the passing game, which is not what he was doing last year. So, all right, we'll move on to the last score. We have Tank Top Mike 152, Just the Tips 81. So Mikey's got the stud wide receivers carrying him right now, while the Tips are watching their QB get benched. Tough times for the Tips. Little alliteration there for Landon. He'll be excited about that. What do you think?
I love it. I know you spent all day working on that, and Landon, we'll love that. So I know last week was a tough week because the Tips tank took a turn.
Wow.
Was that against you? No, they played F&G last week.
Off the cuff, yeah.
It took a turn, but there was not much to be excited about for the Tips. I will say in their starting lineup, they've got Christian Kirk, who has proven to be maybe worth all those Kirks. And then Corey Davis is showing life again. We thought, is he going to repeat last season with Elijah Moore? Now they got Garrett Wilson. That's a passing attack with Flacco, man. They're like, they're Flacco's flinging the football all around.
Just had to outdo me on the alliteration.
I'm working on it.
Good job, man. Good job.
There's some decent parts there, or some fun pieces, I should say, on a small scale. Obviously, they started Tannehill, who laid an egg, and I think that was a little bit predictable going up against the Buffalo D. But you don't trust Baker Mayfield right now, so I get that. Maybe you're in a shootout, Buffalo, and who knows? And they were throwing it. He just was throwing it to the wrong team. So so that was correct. As for Mike's team, man, those wide receivers are carrying him, and DJ Moore still hadn't figured it out. So as soon as DJ Moore figures out, that's a brute. I mean, it's just a strong 3-headed monster.
Yeah. All right. Well, that last score brings us to the Mr. Miyagi Award, which goes to Just the Tips.
Yay.
Ricky was nice enough to send over a short message for us. It's a short one, but he says a lot here. He says a lot. So he says, congratulations to Short Round and Baby Jesus for beating the Queen Mother. Otherwise, kiss my ass. So thank you, Ricky, for that.
This is kind of like Santa Claus. I don't want to know if he really sent that in. I just want to believe. I don't know if he did. I choose to believe.
These are 100% true. Anything, it's a quote. It is a quote, man. These things that I say for these acceptance speeches, man, these are 100% on. Yeah, I thought you knew that, man. I thought everybody knew that.
Now, like I do know. So
we'll run down the standings real quick here.
Please do.
Not a lot to go over just the second week, but we do have 3 undefeated teams: Tank Top Mike, A Bombers, and the UA Dogs, all at 2-0. All at 2-0. We got the Pooh Crew rounding out the top 4 at 1-1. A few points over Goofy effing Jace. And it's funny to see Where's Watson, FNG, and Just the Tips at 1-1.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Or no, it's I guess they're both naked, but right there in the middle,
FNG and Goofy F and Jace right there. Just the Tips still in the bottom 4, but over the last 3, which are 0-2, which is the Prince, Hoosier Daddies, and the Swirly Kings, all at 0-2. So I'm not loving it down there, but I'll see if I can make my way back up. at some
That's a
point this
family
season.
affair, and then you got your
Yeah,
swirly
right,
proxy.
right. Yeah, Sean and I sticking together down there at the bottom. All right. Well, we got one trade to go over this week. It was a good one. I'll give the moving pieces here real quick, and you can start us off because it's your trade. We
Yes,
had
sir.
the DBs and the A bombers trading this week. So A bomb got Calvin Ridley, Najee Harris, the Washington defense, and a 24 fourth rounder, which was Goofy Jace pick. DBs receive Tyreek Hill, Kareem Hunt, the Steelers defense. Weird to see two defenses in a trade like that. You got a 23 second rounder and a 25 third rounder, both of which were A-Bomb's picks. Tell us about your trade, Brandon.
So Evan came at me on Friday and was like, man, what do you think about and I think he's probably working, and so he has some thoughts, but he said, man, I think that we need to package Najee and look, because like we're pretty deep at running back, but we need another piece at wide receiver for the run, because like we want to go 18-0 this year, like all the way to the finish line. How many games are in the season? Is that?
Yeah, a little less than 18, but I get your point.
Yeah. We want to win the Pro Bowl too, but so like we just need to get deeper. So we looked at packages, and he said, I think that we want to target. Tyreek was one of the guys that want to target, and there was a couple others. But based on what he was telling me, I was like, man, we're not going to get a deal done this weekend. And I was concerned because Najee's trade, or his value, was going to dip in perceived value coming off, the game against New England.
Yeah.
So anyways, sure enough, man, he just works it out with A-Bomb, and it's like, all right, let's do it. And I was totally comfortable with Ridley. I didn't want Ridley on the team. I thought he was a bad for our morale. That's one of the reasons why we kept bringing in Tebow, because he's just a quitter. He quit on his team and he bet. Now I don't think he's going to be worth anything when he comes back, and so he can be A-Bomb's problem. I'd be happy to be wrong for A-Bomb as long as it's not against us. But yeah. And then I've always wanted Hunt back. He's my favorite flex with benefits player. And if especially if something happens with Chubb, but like he's startable even without it. So I'm excited. The draft capital was delightful for me, because I like future fourths, and so for us to give up a future fourth, we're going to have to be getting some real draft capital back. But as it turns out, it was a move that we probably needed to make for this weekend, because Tyreek ended up carrying our team or being a big part of it, scoring the points. The other pieces didn't really matter, but having Tyreek in there pushes over the top. So ultimately, it was a move that Evan rushed, and it paid off.
Yeah, I miss Sean as it is, but I wish he was here so he could just back me up when I say I really didn't like this trade for A-Bomb. He and I were together when this came through, and I just looked at it and I was just like, Sean, man, I just really don't like this for A-Bomb. Good. So I'm saying good trade for you guys. I don't know if you. What's that now?
Go ahead. Now I'll circle back to Sean because I have some thoughts.
Well, I don't know if you guys were concerned about the foot for Najee this year, but I am. I could be wrong. Maybe he's going to be just fine, but I just feel like it's going to be a lingering thing this year. And Ridley, the reasons that you talked about wanting to get rid of Ridley, I'm on board with that. And he's going to be 28 in December. So by the time we get here next year, if he does play, he didn't play a lot in 21. He's not playing at all in 22. And you got to wonder about his attitude, if he really wants to play anymore. So I just
what kind of works he put? It'd be hard to. Oh, you dropped him in another.
Another league. I just outright dropped him. I just got rid of him. Yeah.
Yeah. So you don't have to worry. I probably would try to get some sort of trade value if you could, but he wasn't part of the original iteration. I was looking back, and he was a piece that A-Bomb speculatively added. Was like, hey, what about this? And that's kind of where the picks came in, or the future picks came in, to include some of that. But
That's what I really don't like. If you'd have stopped at the draft capital, I would have said, okay, I can kind of see this. Maybe he's getting a better RB2 than Kareem Hunt, and a true number one for another team. And of course, with Tyreek, he can definitely go off. And I don't know. For you guys, he's going off though, not for him anymore. And so you get Tyreek and you get the draft capital, and I just didn't like it at all for him. But we'll see. These things have a way of working themselves out. They evolve, they change.
Yeah, it's funny to go back and revisit. I can tell you that we offered a package that was about twice as big. I was waiting on. I was setting you up right there.
She said joke in there somewhere, right?
Yeah, that was twice as big for a receiver that put up 7 points this week. So I'm glad that we didn't trade, Rashad Bateman and Garrett Wilson and 7 first for 7 points. So.
Yeah, well, that's not going to be an every week thing, but hey, it worked out for you this week as you beat the Pooh Crew. So I'm sure that's nice for now. You're loving that trade right now. Yeah, we'll see how that one goes. Yeah,
so crazy, man. Tyreek put up. I don't know what the points were in this league. 40 points, 30 something points.
36, I think.
Yeah, 36 in a conservative. Jalen Waddle had 19 targets.
Yeah.
I mean, goodness gracious, and he still put up that much. I mean, so Tyreek had major crazy volume. Even so, with him, he had 13 targets, but 19 targets for Waddle, and it still didn't squash Tyreek. So
yeah,
I love Tyreek in that offense. Maybe even a little bit more than the Kansas City offense, because I just think it's more consistent and it's not so dependent on a bomb.
Yeah, and no Kelsey there, and Kelsey definitely you have to share with Kelsey on that team, but you don't have to on this team. He can be the top dog on this team. And he wasn't doing a lot earlier on, and they kept with it. That's the thing here is like sometimes Tyreek disappeared in Kansas City, but here I think he could be scoreless through 3 quarters and still can put up a bunch in the 4th quarter. So
yeah.
I
just got a text message, so I just want to make clear, just for our loyal listeners, that any views reflected on this podcast are from me, the team owner, and I don't want them to negatively affect trade discussions moving forward with our general manager. Okay. So I just want to make sure that I've made that clear on it. I'm I just don't want it to affect it moving forward,
All right. Glad you were able to get that in there. All right, we're going to move on to the matchups for this week. We're going to start with the marquee matchup of the week. That is the Pooh Crew versus Tank Top Mike. So after a tough loss to the DBs, things don't get any easier for the Pooh Crew. What do you think about this one?
Well, the Pooh Crew is the favorite this week. So I think that there's a chance that Justin Herbert is limited. So I think he's going to end up playing, but Keenan Allen's busted up. Herbert's busted up. I don't know, man. If he ends up keeping him in there, which, it's him or Garoppolo or Davis Mills, like, I don't know who he's rolling with. That's tough. So I think that's a danger for him. So he could end up getting an egg at quarterback, which would be really detrimental. But I like that matchup. I know on Mike's side, Alvin Kamara, what's that going to look like? Is he good to go this week?
Yeah.
Or is he going to be out? Because he's been limited. Just said he logged a limited practice on Thursday. So
right. Yeah, he's still kind of iffy.
Some stuff to watch. I do think that Pittman's going to play this week, so he's trending in the right direction and got a good matchup against Kansas City. So
yeah, he's got a real Mike's got a juicy matchup with Cup versus Arizona, because Arizona could easily be the worst defense in the league, if not the worst secondary, probably easily. But and he's got Eckler going up against Jacksonville. Those are some nice matchups for him. Over on Ian's side, he does have some tough matchups. He's got that question with Herbert right now. You look at his flex, though, he's got some nice matchups there. He's got Dalvin Cook versus Detroit.
Yeah.
Montgomery going against Houston. He's got Higgins versus the Jets. So he definitely shored up the flex. Good loyal listener to the show, and he's got something going on there. So yeah, for me, it's too tough to call. I just really can't call this one, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, if I'm making a
It's a good
prediction,
one.
I'm definitely picking Tank Top Mike. I think that I mean he's set up. Mahomes knows that he's got to put up numbers for the MVP discussion, which he cares about, and so I think that he's got the potential to run it up and carry that team. And so he's currently projected for 24, and I think he could potentially put up 35, 40, and it could just like put it too far out of reach.
Yeah, yeah. It's going to be a good one. I'm looking forward to that one.
That's the one I'll be paying attention to this weekend.
Yeah, yeah. Next, we've got the DBs versus the A Bombers. So we got all four top teams squaring off this week. How do you like your chances, Brandon?
Well, man, I want to say that I like them. I would like for our stud running backs to show up this week so that the rest of our team doesn't have to carry them. So I think that at some point you've got to progress to the mean. So C-Mac and Derrick Henry regress to the mean. I'm sorry. My wife's a doctor. She's correcting me. She's coaching me over here on the side. But you've got to regress to the mean. So at some point they've got to pop where they're going to score touchdowns. They're going to put up huge games. And so this could be the week. And it looks like we're probably going to need it. I mean, as the time of the recording, he's started off the week pretty strong.
Maybe even pass the ball to CMC a little bit. I don't know. It's just me.
Get him in space. I mean, he's like the best pass catching running back in our generation, man.
Yeah. I tell you, it's been bad. I have not enjoyed watching them on my local feed. And I got CMC in another league, and I'm just like, come on, pass the ball to him, man. Game script it. Do something, please.
Yeah. As we're seeing another touchdown for Chubb like live. This is great. Awesome. Starting off strong. Yeah, starting off strong on a Thursday night.
I've purposely not been paying attention to it since we normally do this a night earlier, and But I look at this as kind of a tale of two QBs here. You guys have Jackson going up against New England. Will they, New England's defense is still doing all right. Will they try to take him out of it? Can they take him out of it? You've got Allen going against Miami. I kind of like Allen's chances a little better.
Yeah, for going
Miami
off
than I like Jackson versus New England. But you guys got two of the top QBs in the league squaring off against each other.
That'll be a fun. That'll be the story, I think.
It's a big part of it, definitely. You guys got Hill going against Buffalo this week. That's a tough matchup. And A-Bomb has Adams going against Tennessee, which is a nice matchup. Based on that and in the QB situation, I give a slight advantage to A-Bomb, but again, it's another one I'm going to be watching close. Really, just by the matchups, I could give him a slight edge over you guys. So we'll see. It's
good. We're the underdogs.
You're the underdogs. That's right. All right, moving on. We'll go to the next matchup, which is the Swirly King versus the Prince. This seems like a good chance for the Prince to get his first win. What do you think about that?
I think that is correct. There's no way. I mean, I'm grateful that we didn't trade the farm for Justin Jefferson based on other options. So I'm glad for that. But I think that there's no way Justin Jefferson puts up 7 points again this week.
Not likely.
His matchups are good, and Fournette and Connor are both limited.
Yeah.
So who knows how much they're going to do. So I mean, Thielen's a shell of himself, so he's not there. I do wonder who's going to plug in there for Jerry Jeudy. I think probably Olave gets his first start of the season.
Yeah.
I guess it'd be of his career. Gets his first career start, or maybe he goes Pierce. But I think a rookie is going to get that start.
Yeah.
In that flex position. I don't want to coach him on the side, but Jerry Judy's probably not going to play this week. I'm sure he's paying attention to that. So.
I think he wants him in there, but and it's funny, they said shoulder, then I heard rib maybe. So I a lot of times on Fridays when I get my updates for injuries, so I'm looking forward to see what they have to say about Judy. But yeah, Olave is getting the volume. I think he had like the highest number of air yards ever last week, which is a,
Yeah, yeah.
crazy thing. And then Pierce, got more volume, and I think he's on the rise, and playing against Chicago might not be a bad one to put in the flex there.
Man, his snap share. I mean, his volume or his snap count has been great.
Yeah.
Like Pierce is
Yeah.
on the field, so he's getting the
Yeah.
opportunity.
Yeah. Either way, I think he's got something he can move to. You mentioned the questionables for Dylan there. And then you look at his flex running back. He's got Damian Harris going against Baltimore. Not the best matchup
Yeah.
there. Edmonds going against Buffalo. Probably a bad matchup there. You got Sean over here with Mixon and Burrow going against the Jets this week. It could be a get right game for the Bengals, and that
Surely
could
so.
help
Yeah,
him a
no.
lot.
Yeah.
He's got Waddle going against Buffalo. That's a tough matchup, but if he's going to get 19 targets a game, he can do a little something with it, I'm sure. So I definitely give the edge to Sean on this one. I think he's got a good chance to get his first win here. Maybe climb out of that cellar. We'll see.
I'm picking Sean in this matchup.
Yeah. Well, if he gets one win and some of those 1-win teams don't, he's got the points. He can jump right up in the standings there. So I think it could be a good comeback week for Sean. All right. Next, we got the Hoosier Daddies versus FNG. So this time last year, when I went up against FNG, I was looking for my first win, and I walked away from it winless. So is it going to be a repeat of last year? What do you think?
I think you talk about get right game. I think Jamar Chase, there's no way that he stays under 10 again. So I think he's going to have a huge game against the Jets. At some point, McLaurin's got to regress, just based on the sheer numbers. Like your guys should, if they would just meet their expectations, they should be there. And if you can avoid, London or Samuel having some sort of anomaly game, just crazy game, like you should be in good shape. James Robinson against the Chargers is a terrible matchup.
Yeah,
I don't care if it's green. I don't care if it's green on sleeper. It's a bad matchup. And Stevenson against Baltimore.
Yeah.
Juju ain't nothing. So I mean, you got a lot of holes where he should be putting up like 2, 3, 4 that should make it fairly easy for you to kind of absorb Zeke's typical 6-point game.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we'll get it done. Last one we got here is just the tips versus Goofy Jace. Not much to say here. I don't think they have much for Goofy Jace when he was almost the top scorer last week.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to roll out Cooper Rush this week, man.
Yeah.
So I mean, they got some Hail Marys, like Cooper Rush. Maybe I guess could do something. But you got Corey Davis, Kyle Pitts, Mecole Hardman could catch 3 deep balls and put up 40, maybe. I guess I don't know.
Goofy's got a lot of questionables on his bench. He's starting Duvernay for wide receiver too, so maybe they can get the perfect storm. But I'm pretty much calling it for Goofy this week.
Yeah, I got Goofy in this one too.
Yeah. Well, we're under a minute. I can't get out of here without saying, Ian, you suck.